Hello everyone, my name is Shivam Birat Yadav, and welcome to my presentation for Module 6, Securing an Older Linux Operating System. In this project, I conducted a full vulnerability evaluation and hardening of an outdated Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6.10 system used by Alexander Rocco Corporation's payroll department. The goal was to determine whether these legacy servers could be temporarily secured until they are replaced with a newer system. To start with, I set up two virtual machines in VirtualBox, one running Kali Linux for scanning, and another running RHEL 6.10 as the target system. I configured them on the same internal network and verified connectivity. This setup allowed me to perform controlled vulnerability testing using OpenVAS and Lynis, two widely used tools for Linux system security auditing. First, I checked the lifecycle and vendor support of RHEL 6.10. According to Red Hat's documentation, version 6.10 reached its end of life on November 30th, 2020. That means it no longer receives standard security patches, leaving the system highly exposed to known vulnerabilities. Only paid customers with extended lifecycle support, ELS, can still receive limited updates. This was an important finding. Without ELS, the system must rely on compensating controls to remain safe. Next, I performed a vulnerability scan using OpenVAS from the Kali machine. The scan identified several critical and high-risk vulnerabilities, including outdated SSH services, kernel privilege escalation flaws, and weak SSL encryption protocols. In total, there were 7 critical and 14 high-severity issues. These vulnerabilities could allow attackers to gain unauthorized access or escalate privileges, especially since the root login over SSH was still enabled. After that, I ran Lynis on the RHEL system to perform a manual configuration audit. Initially, the system received a Lynis score of 54 out of 100, which indicates weak security posture. The audit highlighted missing firewall rules, weak password policies, and several unnecessary services running in the background, such as Avahi and SNMP daemons. To improve this, I implemented a series of hardening measures. For access control, I disabled direct root SSH login and enforced password complexity rules. Under firewall configuration, I used IP tables to restrict inbound and outbound connections to only trusted IP addresses and essential services. I also disabled unused daemons and configured AIDE, the Advanced Intrusion Detection Environment, for file integrity monitoring. For logging and auditing, I enabled Audit D and set up log forwarding to a central syslog server. Finally, I isolated the server within a restricted VLAN, allowing access only from specific administrative hosts. After implementing these controls, I reran both OpenVAS and Lynis. The results showed significant improvement. The Lynis score increased from 54 to 77, and the number of critical vulnerabilities dropped by nearly 40%. To summarize the available options, I created a risk and cost comparison matrix. Continuing to use RHEL 6.10 with hardening provides only temporary protection and should be limited to about 3 months. Purchasing an ELS subscription is a more secure but costly short-term solution. The best long-term choice is to migrate to RHEL 8 or 9, which are actively supported and include modern security features. In conclusion, my assessment showed that while RHEL 6.10 can be temporarily secured using compensating controls, it remains fundamentally insecure without vendor updates. Organizations like Alexander Rocco Corporation should accelerate migration to newer operating systems to maintain compliance and reduce risk exposure. In the meantime, isolation, strong access control, and consistent monitoring are essential to protect these legacy systems. Thank you for watching my presentation on securing an older Linux OS. I hope this overview provided clear insight into the importance of lifecycle management, proactive hardening, and long-term system migration planning.